there's this push towards some of these shotgun companies are making this super low recoil, like 980 feet per second, 1 ounce loads, and I've
for
never
shotguns.
Yeah, for sure. And I've never seen anybody win a match or win a or like walk stage and be like, yeah, you know what? I had this awesome, sub 1,000 feet per second, 1 ounce load. It just doesn't work that way. You have to, like you said, you take it to the edge, know what the edge is, and then I always bump it up 2 levels above the edge, because that first level is where most people bump it to. Up 1 more level, and heck, my PW piston gun.
Yeah.
But I'll turn it down. I'll turn it down as low and shoot it, and I find the lowest setting at times won't. The super lightweight stuff, because it's made for like super high military grade.
M193.
Yeah. So I'll bump it up. I'll bump it up 1 level above that, and then people will be like, "Oh, you're shooting a piston gun." Like, doesn't it recoil more? Like, you know what? It always recoils, because you know why? It always goes bang.
Yeah.
The gun goes bang. It never not recoils. That's all I hear. And as long as the recoil, and Kalani can speak to this too. I don't really care if the gun recoils, as long as it's not crazy. I don't care if it recoils, as long as it recoils consistently. And once you can get it to
and it comes back to the same spot.
And once I can do that,
doesn't matter.
I could care less if my pistol, if I pull the trigger, if it goes up and to the right, over and back down. If it's back down again before I'm ready to pull the trigger again, I'm happy. That's all. I don't really care. I mean, as long as I can track it and make sure it works. And so that's probably the first thing we should speak to here is, like, it's never worth it, especially for these guys coming up. Like, it's never worth it to run things at the edge. And I think that as you get higher and higher in competition, sometimes you're
tempted.
Yeah, you're tempted to really push those limits. And you see the guys out here that aren't pushing those limits, their guns are running all the time. The other thing I think we should speak to is, and it's pretty amazing, is now where tenths of a second matter. I mean, there's not a stop plate down and then like 5 seconds later somebody else shoots it down. When you see that happen, it's because of a gun malfunction. But when you see these guys, when both guys' guns and all 3 of their guns run, their stop plates falling on top of each other
twice,
right?
2 out of 3 times,
and so that speaks to the level of
the first time was a ton of malfunctions.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
No.
Not the first time. The second and third round were both.
Yes.
But
the first.
The first one was a runaway by Nick because
it was bolt action shotgun, right?
Right.
Malfunction.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm shooting against Kalani, we're shooting open against each other in a match. I'm sure Kalani can speak to this too, but I really mean this. I hope his guns run 100%.
Yeah.
And I hope my guns run 100%.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, we can say, hey, you shot 100 and I shot 98, or I shot 100 and you shot 98.
Yeah.
And so we know where we're going to go back. And
I got to say, for me, I hope to someday get to that point where I think that same thing. Like right now, I'm begging for malfunctions.
Well, no, it's true. It's true, dude. So do I. But I mean, right now, I mean, me and Jacob have been around so long that we know.
Right.
20 guys out there that can kick our ass. Okay. And so that when we do win or when we do, finish good, it's because of us.
Yeah. I want to know. If I beat Kalani, I don't want Kalani to come over and be like, man, my shotgun grenaded or my pistol grenaded, and I gave up 50 seconds on the stage. It's like, man, there's nothing worse than that, because at Nationals, a great example.
Takes away the win, right?
Yeah, I mean, at Nationals is a perfect example. I mean, all I had to do was just screw a choke in my gun, and that's my fault. There's nobody else to put it on. Mental mistakes mean just as much as a gun malfunction. My mental mistake is on me, but it would have been nice to know, screw a choke in that gun. Then it would have been nice to know, like, man, because we were butting heads, man, the whole time.
Yeah. It was
like, hey, man, how did you shoot that stage? Oh, I shot in this. Oh, man, I shot in this.
Tight. It was tight. And that's what it's going to be with top-level shooters.
Right. You're never going to be like, oh, man, I'm 10% ahead of you. Like, no, you're not. I mean, it's not that way.
It's about a second and a half, and you're like, oh, my goodness, man. I hope I don't trip on this next stage.
Right.
and pretty much.
I always want a match to be decided in the last stage. That's kind of, I mean, I just think it's the epitome of the sport. Like, it's kind of what we're looking for, is to shoot against guys. And realistically, and I've said this before too, there is not another sport, if you're listening to this podcast, there is not another sport where you can go out and shoulder to shoulder with the best people in the industry, the best shooters in the industry, and see how you stack up. If I want to be in the NBA, I can't go play a pickup game with Michael Jordan tomorrow.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I could be in a squad with Kalani Laker and shoot against him. And he could give me,
if you register in time.
Right.
And he doesn't jump squad.
Yeah. But I mean realistically, we could be loading mags together, and he could be giving me tips, and we could be shooting together. And I think that's one of the coolest things. We were all in T-shirts at one point. We all looked around, guys here in T-shirts watching this, like, wow, this is so cool. But the
King Brown's up there in a T-shirt, man.
But the reality of it is lawn chair right here and watch this, and in 20 minutes you can go have a steak, have a drink with somebody who just shot this whole thing, and that's one of the coolest things about this sport.
So let's take that a step further, Jacob. How about the fact that guys that you'd never heard of,
right,
or maybe you're like, oh, that's a guy in a couple years he'll be good.
Yeah.
Gave a freaking run tonight, right?
Yeah. I mean, he had Nick on his heels right there. I mean,
well, and Keen as well.
Sure.
And so let's talk about that, like the air quote generation. Well, this is a completely different format than has been the tradition for 3-gun.
Well, if you want to be nice, then Jake. Otherwise, if you want the reality, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'll go first.
Let's hear it.
I think that this format is a little watered down, so I think it does. I think it does open the door for more competitors to come into the
sport
spotlight of the Pro Series,
right? Because
these same over the course of the next 8 stages that will be shot here will not be top 8. It's just not going to happen. We saw it at Nationals, and we're going to see it here today. And I'm pretty sure I bet we saw it in Florida too. I haven't looked.
Would you be willing to put 70 cents on it?
Yeah, I'll put Jacob 70 cents on it. What's wrong with Keith? I mean, but again, I don't want to downplay everybody's skills, okay? Because again, I shot with Scott. Scott is sick, and he won tonight. Okay, he based his whole training and his whole shooting philosophy is based upon fundamentals.
Yes,
and the way has set up the new Pro Series is based upon very little speed. It's all
there's no planning.
No. Yeah. It's not the same. It's not the same way that me and Jacob grew up at all.
Right.
It's totally. So if this was based over 5 stages, you're going to see the same 10, 12 guys in the top 8 every time.
And what he brings up is a great point.
Rise to the top.
We watched this happen. Kalani,
I've seen. I think it happened since 2012.
Kalani says this, and he speaks the truth about this because of. I think we can both remember this when it happened. Daniel Horner, like 2013. This is when we're shooting 5 series matches at the first stage of the match, and he's shooting a Versa match. Something happened, malfunction. I can't remember what it. The firing pin doesn't come forward enough. Whatever it is, and I mean he takes like
it was a 20 or 30 second jam.
It was like it was at least that. Dump a shotgun. There's no other alternatives. It's the last gun. We're gonna barrel back here. See a look on his face like he up, fixes it, click, racks it up, fixes it, click, fixes it again. He looks at the target like he's gonna try to shoot again, and he just looks at the RO. Is like, just take my gun, get it out of my face, right? They're like, oh man, Horner was the favorite to win this whole match, and now look what happened. I think I have it saved at home still. Yeah. And Chad's on Chad's talking like he's done,